now with me, Ankita Saxena. Well, in the unfolding dispute between Elon Musk and OpenAI, with Musk suing the company for alleged gold deviation, Jason Kwon, the chief strategy officer at OpenAI, rebuts. He shares how he disagrees with the notion and have already made much more mission progress than many, including Elon. Amidst this clash, the question arises, is OpenAI more effective as a non-profit or for-profit entity? Additionally, how does India's Minister Chandrasekhar's emphasis on AI not violating laws contribute to this evolving narrative? This is what we got from him.
Today, we have issued a continuing advisory to deal with the generative AI platforms and broadly the AI platforms and the problems that are being caused by their introduction into the public internet without sufficient testing, without sufficient awareness, and without sufficient disclosures. If you are deploying an under-testing platform in India, you have to inform the government, you have to provide labeling on your platform and disclosure on the platform that it is under testing, it is under training. And most importantly, you have to inform the user explicitly through a consent mechanism that the platform may output unreliable and unlawful content as a consequence of its under testing nature. We make it very clear in the advisory that there are very, very strict legal and criminal liabilities that will arise if they continue to introduce from their labs onto the public internet in India without any guardrails or disclosures or disclaimers and put consumers at risk and put themselves at risk by outputting unlawful content and violating the law.
And I'll tell you what, we are joined by two guests to speak about the matter. Roopam Upadhyay, who's the data science consultant, International Finance Corporation, World Bank Group, and Nikhil Pahwa, who's the founder, editor, and publisher at Medianama.com. Gentlemen, welcome to News Now. So good to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, let's jog our memories a bit. Musk co-founded the OpenAI in 2015 and then stepped down from the board in 2018, 4 years after saying that, AI is potentially more dangerous than the nukes. Now he sued the company saying that it started with an intention of being a non-profit organization. Then why the change in stance? OpenAI has also responded, rebutted back, saying, calling out Musk and practically saying that he's acting like a jilted lover who has missed the bus, and clearly that's the reason why he's crying foul. What's your take on this love affair that's gone completely wrong? Roopam, I'll come to you first.
Okay, great. So before we kind of look back and say what has happened with Musk and OpenAI's love affair and how it kind of panned out, there are a lot of business decisions that happen in between. The important important point rather, what Musk is bringing out is AI safe to bring it out to public where it's available to everybody. And in the process, what happens, like what we need to understand is that there is a sharing of data that happens. So whether you are using Chat GPT, which is OpenAI's product, or any other AI products, there is always this intrusiveness that happens where when I'm interacting with Chat GPT, it's also learning about me. Now, this is one part which is not, which I would assume that like most people are not aware of, and they are just sharing information. And this happened like if you remember, like a few months back, like most companies started saying that okay, Chat GPT for using for your business purposes is not a safe platform because you're sharing your data, your company's data on that. So what the important point over here is that Musk is bringing out an important aspect that whether it is safe for all of us to start using AI or all its applications similar to like Chat GPT without knowing what are the repercussions. So I won't say it's a love affair that has gone astray. It's more of a case where we are learning about the technology, we are learning about the things as we are moving forward, and it's a very dynamic system. It's not something that is which we knew, like say 5 years ago when things were very in the testing mode, as you have already pointed out. It was in mostly where it's a development phase. But now what's happening is it's out in the public. I mean, it's out in the public domain. All of us are using it. All of us are sharing our data. All of us are just exposing ourselves to this new technology. And that's where there's a lot of, discussion going on whether it is safe or not. So that's the point where I'll kind of stop for
Right,
now. And
right, Rupam. But Elon Musk also owns a platform called Twitter. Now it's called X. That is also a platform, a public platform where public puts out information. The data is getting used. Now, when it comes to that, public opinion is important. Free speech is important. This is also a product that's out in the open. Should the Janta be deciding what they want to do with this? Shouldn't the Janta be allowed to decide? Shouldn't they be having the power?
no, that's a good point. Like whether Janta should decide or not. But Janta, I would assume, is not aware of the process itself because it's such a new thing. So if we go back, like I mean, social media is kind of like that. When it started, say 20 years ago, Facebook and other social media platforms, at that time we were not aware of what it can do in terms of disrupting the whole ecosystem. AI, on the other hand, is like I would say social media on steroids, where it can consume information. It's also thinking about that information. It's using that information to also possibly manipulate your decision. I mean, if I shouldn't say manipulate as a word, but it's also like giving you. It's also interactive. Unlike social media, where you're just putting out the information, it's out for everybody to see. Over here, we have got an agent which has a mind of its own, and that's where I think these discussions are happening. And AI is not in a place where it's as intelligent as human beings, but we don't know at what point it will kind of take that turn, and it will start using that data
Fair,
to also, yeah.
fair enough, Rupam. Fair. Rightly put that, AI is perhaps social media on steroids. But coming to you, Nikhil, if we look at the mission statement of OpenAI, it does mention that it's for the benefit of humanity broadly. Now, things changed after Microsoft came into the picture for obvious reasons because it will want its return on investment. What is going to be the stance for OpenAI going forward now that they have been called out publicly by Musk?
I think we have to get a sense of history over here. It was created as a non-profit, but because it required to invest heavily and buy GPUs, which is basically processing power, in order to run its training cycles, it's a very, very expensive proposition, costing billions of dollars. They had to raise funding, so they created a for-profit entity under the non-profit entity, with the goal that once it reaches a certain amount of profit, it will return the profit to the non-profit and continue in its goal for artificial general intelligence, which is basically AI with a mind of its own. I would disagree with Rupam. There is no mind of its own right now. This is the way AI currently operates, is that it is giving you an outcome which it believes is a high probability of satisfying what you're asking. Um, and so this is all probabilistic outcome based on the information that it has taken in, the training weights that have been added to that information, how it's been tagged, and subsequently what is the in terms of the process of training, what is the probability of a correct outcome. So when you use AI tools, you can actually change the probability also, whether you want high degree of accuracy or you want high degree of creativity. So to expect facts from AI, or even to assume that it has a mind of its own, technologically we are not there yet. What Musk's lawsuit alleges is that we are there or almost there, but OpenAI is deviating from its mission of serving humanity by building a artificial intelligence that has a mind of its own, but chooses to serve humanity. So at one level, because he was one of the initial founders and there was an agreement, he's actually alleging breach of contract. At the other level, you can also look at this as a competitive move because he has his own product on Twitter, which is called Grok, which is also an AI platform. And because it's relatively newer, most of these new platforms are far behind OpenAI. OpenAI is changing the outcomes and the outputs and the quality of the outputs as we go along, because it's being used expansively, including through its partnership with Microsoft, and is learning more and more. So the quality of the output is becoming better and better, both when it comes to text outputs as well as when it comes to audio visual outputs through the multiple services that it offers right now. So I see this more as a competitive move from Elon Musk. He's trying to derail what OpenAI is doing, but his point about OpenAI deviating from its mission and operating as a for-profit, if you look at the Sam Altman saga that happened, last year, where he was removed as CEO, then brought back. At the heart of all of that was the fact that there was an a disagreement over whether or over how the for-profit entity was operating. So this is all linked to what has happened in the last 6 months.
Are you saying that
Yeah.
it's a case of grapes gone sour because he's clearly missed the bus? And that is the reason why Elon Musk is trying to derail OpenAI's mission?
I, I mean, I can't say, to be honest. Like, no one can actually assume that he's doing this
Yeah.
because of this. But to me, it looks like that right now.
But
But that's also what I'm saying is the argument that OpenAI may have deviated from its mission is not without reason. I mean, there are indications that they have done that because there were also allegations about Sam Altman not being accurate with his conversations with the board, not giving them the correct information, withholding information. All of those accusations are a part of the of that entire tussle over the CEO role that happened last year. So it is all linked to that, and whether he's breached contract or not, or whether OpenAI has breached contract or not, is now going to be a legal battle.
right, Nikhil. Now let's, gentlemen, look at the bigger picture now in terms of bring India into context as well. The Indian government, Indian government, the way Indian government has responded to AI, it is clearly not a fan of AI. They want to regulate, control AI. OpenAI wants to have its own control. It's turning out to be a battle of control, but it's a free market. Should the power rest with the people? That's the question. Roopam, go
So
ahead.
if I may come in on this one. So regulation is where things are not as clear. When you say should the people have the power, if you say all the other regulated industry, let's start with banking. Uh, Over there, should we let the people be the regulator of banking as an industry or not? The most people would say like there is a requirement of a body that governs this entire process because it's a very complicated system that we are talking. And on the same go, like I mean, if you see AI researchers, like I mean, you can name all the top people who work on AI. They are largely they are in agreement that there has to be a regulation, and this regulation is if you leave it to the open community, it may not be the right idea because like a lot of people are not even it's a dynamic system, it's changing so fast. Not all of us are aware of like lot of people out there are aware of what's happening with AI. So that's where like I think government stance of having some kind of regulation on AI is a good stance because this is a system which is changing very fast and it has a potential to make a significant impact both in terms of productivity of human beings as well as like it can derail the overall process. We are hearing a lot of like I mean both sides of the stories. And that's where I think there is a requirement to have a regulatory body similar to how you have regulations in banking for AI as well. And in that they're the like say a civic community or like people can all come in and then the discussion can happen. So the important point over here is to reach a place where we start thinking about it as a something that needs to be regulated, and what the shape and size of that particular body will be can be decided as we go along. But if you just leave it up to completely okay like while people are using it they are also regulating it,
Right.
that may not be a very good idea with it.
Right, right. Rupam, point taken absolutely. OpenAI could be a potential threat, and AI needs to be regulated, for the use, for public use going forward. But Rupam and Nikhil, thank you so much for joining us today in this discussion. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll have to let you go on that note.